Aggretsuko Season 3 is finally out, and I'll let you know right now that I really liked the first 8 episodes. I thought the first 8 episodes, we were finally going to get some real character development for Aggretsuko. Like, Season 2, the whole Tadano stuff, like, it kind of reset the story back to zero. Like, it kind of reset it back to the end of Season 1, where not much happened, and you could kind of pretend Season 2 didn't really happen, except for the fact that Tadano's now in the cast, kinda, but not really. Like, he's kind of there, but not really. But at the end of Season 3, they kind of reset things again, and I'm just so tired of that. The first 8 episodes, it felt so good. We were finally gonna get some real character development, and then they just reset it. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's break this down. Okay, Aggretsuko Season 3 is essentially 2 main plots. You got the Aggretsuko stuff, you got the Retsuko stuff, where she becomes a pop idol, and then you have the Haida stuff, the stuff that people I think are really there for, the Haida romance subplot, because we've been waiting, man. Haida bros, we've been waiting for like 2 seasons now for Haida to finally get his comeuppance. We even had to suffer through like that whole Christmas special where we watched essentially Haida suffer for like an hour, and that was very painful. I just felt pity in my heart for Haida, and I was hoping this season was going to be his chance to rise up. So before I go any further, let's kind of recap so we're all on the same page here. So we have our boy Haida. He meets up with this new girl Inui. She comes to the accounting department, and then they kind of, start talking to each other. They start relying on each other, and it genuinely seems like they got some good chemistry going. They bump into each other. They have the same interests, and then she expresses interests in, the same thing he likes. She wants to meet with him, and she even offers to cook him dinner when they meet up at his place. Like, everything is going so smoothly. And then Retsuko gets attacked because of the main plot reasons, which I will get into later. I will talk about that stuff later. But for now, let's focus on the Haida stuff. Retsuko gets attacked, and then he saves her life, and he's really worried about her. And in that moment where he rescues Retsuko's life, he meets up with Inui, and then he turns down Inui. And I hated that. I absolutely hated that. And I get it, right? There are 2 ways to interpret that scene. There's the first way, which I think is what the writer intended, where you have our boy Haida. He realizes just how much he loves Retsuko, and despite how good Inui is, he just doesn't feel the same way about her as he does about Retsuko. So ultimately, she can tell that based on how worried he feels about Retsuko, so he chooses Retsuko. There's like this unspoken understanding between the 2 of them. In that moment, in the heat of the moment, he finally discovers who he really is. But I hate that. I hate that. It feels like Deus Ex Machina. It feels like the writers, or rather the universe, is making the decision for him. I think the story would have been so much better. Let's say he chooses Retsuko. I hate the fact that he chooses Retsuko, but for a moment, let's say that he chooses Retsuko and he approaches Inui and he looks Inui in the eye and he says, I'm not in love with you. I don't think this is going to work out. I'm seeing someone else right now, and, let's move on. Like, we can stay friends. We can do whatever. We like the same music, but I like Retsuko. Like a kind of I like Amelia moment, if you were. If he did an I love Amelia actually moment, I would have respected it way more, because in the heat of the moment, people are not capable of making, like, concrete decisions. They're, like, hyped up on emotions. They're not thinking logically. They're not thinking with their head on straight. They're kind of pushed forwards. Like, the situation is influencing his decision. I don't like that. I don't like that Haida is being influenced by Aggretsuko, or rather Retsuko, getting hurt, because obviously he cares about Retsuko. Retsuko is his friend. If my friend got hurt, of course I would care that she's getting hurt. So I don't think, like, Inui could have taken this moment as, like, the reason why they can't get together. What I'm saying is, I would have had way more respect for our boy Haida if he just made the decision for himself, instead of just letting the universe guide him. It feels like him and Retsuko just don't have the chemistry, and yet the universe just keeps trying to push them together. Because in Season 1, it was like the Kata Omoi subplot of The Office of, Season 1, and it looked like it was going somewhere. And yeah, like, let's not forget, Retsuko in Season 1, she turns him down. She turns down our boy Haida in Season 1. So why you go crawling back, boy? Why you go crawling back? Okay, there are 2 ways to look at this final scene, right? You could see it as Haida screwing up and missing out on a fantastic opportunity with someone he has real chemistry with someone that actually cares about him and cares about what he does, what he thinks, instead of, being a little bit selfish, which is Retsuko. But you could also look at it in terms of Inui dodging a hard bullet, because our boy Haida, man, like, I have lost faith in him. I have lost absolute faith. I think of it in terms of Inui dodging a bullet, because Haida, what are you doing? What are you doing? She turned you down in Season 1, and then in Season 2, Tadano showed up, and you got turned down again. Let's face it, you're second best, man. if she has to air quotes settle for you because Tadano doesn't want to settle down in season 2, which is why she turned down Tadano in the first place. Not to mention she turned to VR gacha boyfriend before even considering our boy Haida, even though she knows that he has feelings for her because she turned him down in season 1. It just boggles my mind, man. Like, what are these writers doing? It's like in those rom-coms or like those harem animes where you have like 6 different girls and 1 guy, but it's clear. It is absolutely clear that one of the girls is so much better than the rest and actually cares about the main character, and yet the main character goes for the starting girl because she was, I don't know, the first girl introduced, so therefore she has to win. But you know what? This is the direction that the director and the writers chose to take, so, you know, let's make the best out of a bad situation. So, did him and Retsuko at least get together at the end of season 3? Well, maybe. We don't really know. It's kind of like left up in the airs. It's yet to be confirmed. We don't really know exactly where it's going. And that's the thing, man. That's the thing that pisses me off the most. That is the thing that just makes me so mad. They return to the status quo. It feels like we haven't gotten any real character development for 2 seasons. Season 1 was great because Gori and Washimi, they helped our main character Retsuko kind of grow as a person, and she evolves from the beginning of season 1 to the end of season 1. Season 2, she kind of starts off the same and then ends off in the same place. Like, she just goes in a big circle with Tadano. Like, nothing really happens. And season 3, it feels like they're going back to the status quo again. No, man. That's the one ending I could not abide. I could not accept this ending. That is the only ending I could not accept, because going back to the status quo is just so cheap. At least give us some form of, like, resolution, anything. Like, I'm begging you, anything. Like, he grabs her hand, even though she's, like, an awful person and saying all these bad things. He grabs her hand and suddenly, like, ooh, like, oh, it's all good now. Like, explain? Can I get an explanation, or do I have to wait for season 4? And this show better end on season 4, because at this point Retsuko she can't pretend that he doesn't care about her. Like, she can't play pretend anymore. This just isn't going to work. The plot has to move forward. If they reset back to 0 on season 4, man, I'm out, dude. I am out. All right. Let's shift gears. Let's talk about our main character. Let's talk about Retsuko. What was her plot line in season 3? So season 3 starts off right after the Tadano breakup, and essentially she starts playing gacha games, and she gets really into gacha games, and she starts spending like exorbitant amounts of money, and now she's broke and she owes someone a lot of money, and that person just so happens to be an idol manager, and then she becomes an idol. Like, don't get me wrong, I thought this was a really weird direction too, but I thought it was like a really nice way of having our girl Retsuko finally like rise up against the man. I know it's been a really long time since season 1, but let's not forget, in season 1 Retsuko was like constantly being downtrodden by management. She had like a really terrible-ish job, and she hated it there, and she did it just because, you know, she gets the paycheck. But now she's doing something she likes. You know, for once, she's finally enjoying her work, and she talks to her fellow idols. You know, it's not going to be sunshine and rainbows all the times, but her fellow idol coworkers are like, yo, we know you like this. We can see it in your eyes. I see it as I'm performing behind you. You know, the bunny girl, she says these things, and Retsuko agrees. She's like, I do like this. I like this way more than my main job. This could be my new dream. I have passion for this, and I really liked that storyline. And there's this one really good scene that just sticks out to me, where her boss, who was shown to be an asshole, but he has like a heart of gold and he cares about his, you know, underlings. He's like, hey, look, I'll pay off your debt, just come back to work, and then, you know, everything can return back to normal. And then she stands up for herself. She's like, this is my private life. You can't bully me into dropping my side hustle. That's not how this works. You can't just force your way into my private life and then make decisions for me. Like, this is stupid. Retsuko finally rising up. I really love that scene. And then at the very end, she just kind of crawls her way back to the 9-to-5 job. Like, why? And yes, I know what you're about to say. You're about to say, well, she was attacked in broad daylight by an overzealous fan, like a fanatical fan who attacked her because he didn't like the way, the direction the pop idol group was going because of her, and he wanted to, you know, take matters into his own hands and execute some vigilante justice. And yeah, I get it. She's like scarred for life, and that sucks. But at the same time, like, what kind of story are you trying to tell? Like, what is the moral? What am I supposed to take away from the story? Am I supposed to take away that things can go bad, therefore I should never try them? Like, is that what I'm supposed to take? Because those are the points that her boss made. Her boss is like, things are gonna go bad, and you're gonna have to choose eventually. Are you ready to take on this burden? And she goes, no. She can't take it anymore. That's the moral of the story. That's her character growth, that she can't take it anymore. She didn't grow. She decides to retreat. She gives ground instead of rising to the occasion. I hate that. And honestly, I feel like it's a cultural thing, because obviously this show is made in Japan and they're very conservative. And, me living in the West, I'm more of the mindset of, no, F the man, F the job, dude. They don't care about you. Your company doesn't care about you. You need to look out for yourself. Whereas Retsuko's like, oh, I have loyalty to my company. I need to do what is right. Societal pressures. I need to care what other people think type deal. That's, pushing down on her. And I just do not agree. Is this like a cultural clash? I'm not so sure. But regardless, I just don't like that she gave up on her dreams, on like the dreams that her and her friends, like, they became close friends. Her pop idol group, they worked hard together, and she's just gonna throw that all away. She's just gonna cast away and return back to the status quo. I think season 3 would have been like a really good spot to end the Aggretsuko series, like the Aggretsuko storyline per se. And you'd have Aggretsuko, move on from her crappy 9-to-5 job. She'd finally be doing something she loves. She'd be pursuing her dream, finally have passion for something instead of just working the crappy job for a paycheck like most people, like myself. And you have stuff like Haida, he moves on. Maybe he's still working his job. It's not that he hates it. It's fine. It's just a job. He moves on with his love life. He gets married or something. I don't know. But Haida, the point is, he moves on from Retsuko, and Retsuko pursues her dream. Like, I think this would have been like a great place to end the Retsuko storyline, and maybe we could like pick things up with Feneko or like the other people in the office, because let's not forget that Aggretsuko started off as this comedy about what it's like to work in an office. It's got some dark humor, and that's what I really liked about it. It was about watching a Weiji suffer. I want to watch more Weiji suffer. I think it's a real nice fresh comedy, but the show has just devolved into this, oh man, rom-com thing, and it's not bad. As you can tell from the beginning, I got really invested in the rom-com stuff, in the Haida X Feneko, maybe your Haida X Inui, maybe your Haida X Retsuko. I got really invested in that stuff, and I think that stuff is cool as a subplot, but let's not forget the main point was Retsuko working her 9-to-5 job and what it was like being a Weiji. Don't forget that. And the show, I feel like, has forgone that and has just doubled down on the romance plots that involve Retsuko. If you think about it, as the series has been going on, from season to season, we've been getting less and less Aggretsuko moments. You know what I mean? Like, we've been getting less and less Retsuko freaking out and doing her like death metal stuff. We've been getting less and less of that as the story moves away from the comedy of the 9-to-5 Weiji job stuff and her needing to vent to, love subplot and longer storylines, which I guess if you like that kind of thing, it's fine. But I think the original story, the intent of the original Retsuko, is just lost. It's gone. Well, with that being said, I think it's pretty safe to assume I will check out Season 4 because I still really like Aggretsuko. And, I've been talking a lot about the negatives of this season, which is the plot and the direction it takes. But don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed the first 8 episodes. I thought the direction it was going in was really, really fresh and an interesting take. And we're finally going to have our characters change. Finally get some real character development since Season 1, where Washimi and Gori joined the cast. Nothing's changed since Washimi and Gori joined the cast. It's essentially been the same thing. Okay, I'm rambling again. I think positive. Think positive, Roion. Think positive. I really enjoyed the dub. Aggretsuko is one of those series I usually watch twice. Like, I watch it once, giving my full attention to the Japanese version, and then I like put it in the background while I grind in an MMO or something, like, I don't know, in an RPG. When I start grinding, I put on like a Netflix dub, and the Aggretsuko dub is surprisingly well done. I know quite a few dubs on Netflix that just don't bother localizing the music and they just have the Japanese music play, like Devilman Crybaby, the rap, they just rap in Japanese and they just leave it as it is. But in Aggretsuko, they actually dub over the rap in English, and I thought it was very, very well done. The J-pop, like the idol stuff, it's not as good as the Japanese one. That I'll say, it's not as good as the Japanese one. But the death metal, like the screamo stuff that Aggretsuko and Haida does at the very end, I thought that was localized pretty well. It was really enjoyable. In fact, I think it's good enough to be included into the original soundtrack. If the original soundtrack came with the English version as well as the Japanese version, I think it would be pretty damn worth it. Anyways, that's really all I have to say about Aggretsuko Season 3. I thought the ending was complete and utter garbage. If you think otherwise, let me know in the comments. Like, if you liked the fact that Retsuko went back to her crappy 9 to 5 job, let me know why. Let me know why you, if you're an Aggretsuko X Haida bro, let me know why you think that. Like, explain to me, cause I cannot understand, man. Please help me understand. And if you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe for more. We've got the summer season ending soon, so you can expect like a really, really long video as I talk about all the shows I've been watching for that season. So anyways, that's all I have to say, and I'll see you guys next time.